So today's topic is my direct reports make more than me, now what? I feel like this is something that doesn't get discussed very often, depending on which circle you're in, maybe doesn't get discussed at all. But for first time and new managers, certainly for those of you who are aspiring to be a manager, there is truth in the fact that sometimes you take over a team where your direct reports make more than you. Now, it likely won't be all of them, or maybe I should say, hopefully it won't be all of them. For me, it was just a couple of them. And it very much depends on the nature of the business that you're working for, the sector or industry that you're in. Matters a great deal. So typically for like a financial background, financial area in the workplace, these can be collections representatives, people who are getting outstanding revenues due back to the business from customers. This could also be if you run a sales team and you sort of manage that sales team where you've got some really high performers on that team. And it could be the case in a variety of other situations when people just have more experience than you do. Again, you're a first time new manager. And so your experience in comparison with theirs is really quite different. The biggest thing is don't feel like it's just you or that there's something wrong with you when it happens. I think it happens to quite a few first time and new managers. It certainly happened to me when I was a first time manager. And today's video is so that I can tell you what I did when I was in that situation. Let's get to it. All right. So the first thing you want to do is look to understand why. When you can gain that sort of understanding into what might be causing that to be the way it is, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, right? When I talked about whether you're working with people who have a lot of experience in that area, they're really high performers. It's really quite easy to understand jobs and functions where your team is commission based. And they make more money according to how they're performing, that yes, they might make more money than you do. So first, look to understand the why. That was the first thing I did, and that really helped me to ease into just being able to accept more that, hey, this is just kind of how it is when you are an inexperienced manager. The second thing that I did is I made it an area of opportunity for me. When you have those super high performing people on your team, they've got a great deal of experience, they've been around for a long time, that's an opportunity to really tap into the wealth of historical context and information that those individuals have. So I made it my business to learn as much as I could from those team members. I wanted to be sure that I provided them with the resources that they needed. If there were any tools that I could assist with, I did have offerings, things that I could do by way of coaching, but I really made it an opportunity to cast a spotlight on them. They became go-to team members. When there was an issue, they became team members who I could approach for a way of maybe a different sort of way of thinking to solve the problem. So now you have more diverse thoughts on your team. You have more diverse solutions coming from your team by tapping into those team members who have that great deal of experience. So make it an area of opportunity. Number 3, what I did was I avoided having any ill feelings, right? With that number 1, when you look to understand why and you really get to know what the reasoning is behind it, it really helps with avoiding the ill feelings. You really don't want to carry that kind of thing around. It will show up in just about everything that you do as a manager leading your team. So what I did instead was I made sure that I knew that as my career progressed, I would get more experience. Thus, when you're a high-performing manager, your pay would increase. And then there would be less likely the occurrence as you get that experience that you have anyone on your team who makes more than you. So as you become a more senior leader, it just doesn't happen as often. The final thing is that there are really pros and cons to everything. In my particular situation, those individuals were hourly employees and they did earn very generous commissions. However, I was a salaried employee as the leader. And so I know there can be a good deal of discussion, and some of that is very subjective as to whether it's more beneficial to be salaried or to be an hourly employee. However, I found it to be a benefit that I was salaried, and some of those perks that just come from being a salaried employee. What your day looks like, what your level of commitment to different things looks like, the freedoms that you have, et cetera, et cetera. So that helped me to really accept it as well. So again, if you've got people reporting to you who are making more than you, have no fear. Just know you're not alone. It happens to a great many first-time and new managers. First, you want to look to understand why. Just get that rationale so that you can better process it. Then you want to use it as an opportunity to make those very experienced and high-performing individuals on your team, have them to be go-to team members, and you can get a lot more done that way. The third is you want to avoid those ill feelings and just be sure that you understand as you gain more experience, things will get better. This will occur a lot less. And then the final thing you want to do is lean into any of the perks that come with you being a leader. So in this case, I talked about just very briefly how being a salaried employee versus in my situation, they were hourly employees, and some of the things and benefits that you get from being salaried. Hope this was helpful. Let me know your thoughts. If you'd like some other tips as a first time or a new manager or someone who is aspiring to be a manager, then you don't want to miss our free ebook, Killing the Time Management Game. We've just released that. It is free. There's a link in the description box, so please check that out. Also, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and of course, comment with any questions that you have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until next time, get practical and lead better.